G'day and welcome to Pub for Heretics, back with Blake
and Corbin
and James.
And today we are going to be going a little bit further back into one of our previous episodes. We're going to go back through the timeline, but specifically the humanity's importance on it all, leading up to the Horus Heresy, Siege of Terror, the Scouring, and on top of that, Age of Apostasy. And why this is all important, because these sequence of events are very important in terms of how everything's set up in 40k.
You can't understand 40k without knowing 30k.
Yeah.
And then 20k? And
No,
then 10k?
nobody cares about 20k.
No one does. Yeah.
What about 10k?
We're
What
in
about 0k?
We're in 2k now.
We're in 2k?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh,
Because year
Why
2000.
2k?
No, not the computers.
No.
So, someone passed high school. Good job.
Yeah.
All right. So, just want to clarify the timeline a little bit further. So, before 30k, I think it was about 25,000
We
millennium.
just said we didn't care about 20k.
Okay.
The first thing you're talking about is 20k.
Yeah, because fuck you, that's why. We're only going to go back a little bit, back to the year 25,000. or the 25th millennium, whatever it is.
Yeah.
2.5k.
Yeah, shut up. No, that's
No, the 25k, yeah.
25k, yes.
You can tell this podcast is made of complete geniuses.
Yes.
So, humanity was at the height of its strength, like Necron level of technology gods. Like, you remember when we were talking in the Votan episode about STCs, like the standard template constructs, you put one thing in and it makes the thing that you want.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like
the
or-
holodeck from Star Trek.
Yeah, holodeck or the thing from Spy Kids, da-da-da, yeah. That kind of level of tech.
Well, interesting. What god-killing weapons did the humans have?
Oh, there weren't any gods around because Necrons did it.
You said they had Necron level tech.
No, like Necron level, like, you know.
I know. I'm being a smartass. Continue.
Yeah, fuck you.
They didn't have Necron level tech. They had
Well,
almost.
I would say
Necron
I
level
would say they're
tech.
close to it. Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, they created black holes.
Yes.
Like,
It's nothing.
I know.
It's-
He's just being a wanker. He's just
Yeah.
trying to have a go at humanity.
Yeah.
Whatever. But, like, you know, for example, like, you know, the Baneblade tank, the big giant tank that the Imperial Guard can take on them.
Yeah.
That was considered a light scout vehicle.
Because
Light
planet.
scout.
because-
Light scout.
Yeah, because planets were bigger back then.
Yeah, and I could be wrong. Yeah. Shut up. No, it wasn't. Just downplaying everything humanity as we go
Yeah.
along. All right. But, you know, giant knights, like the night houses,
No.
like the night night minis. Have you never seen these?
No.
Okay, we'll show 'em.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, you know
no.
knights.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I thought
Yeah,
you were talking
knights.
about, like, night vehicles.
No, I'm not talking about knights, like as in, you know,
Well,
nights
technically they're
hospitality.
vehicles.
All I
Oh, they
know
are,
is,
yeah.
Yeah.
all I know is Chaos Knights. I don't know Imperium Knights. You mean Chaos Knights? I know that.
What about the Titan Legions?
No, I don't know.
Okay.
But I know Wood Dogs.
Anyways, so those knights, I could be wrong on this, but I think this is what they were meant for. They were originally meant for, like, construction and land clearing, like to inhabit worlds
Oh, so they
and
weren't
terraform.
like,
They weren't,
They weren't like military.
as far as I know, like, I could be wrong, but like that them being used in the military was not their main intended purpose. It was like for other things, like multi-purpose.
I mean, nothing clears land better than a nuclear warhead, right?
No, right? Yeah, yeah. But then, yeah, the humanity was then weakened by its own AI when it rose up and weakened and wounded humanity. And then, you know, to make a bad situation worse, Slanesh was born because fuck the Eldar. Fuck the elves.
Yes.
And the warp feedback from the birth of this new chaos god created all those warp storms that separated all of humanity from each other. Planets on the fringes of the galaxy that were dependent on, like, regular shipments from Earth, fucked. They were completely screwed. Majority of humanity that survived went, like, back to the Dark Ages. Some went savage, like Conan the Barbarian style. Others went, like, full feudal, like, knights and castles. And others went, like, post-apocalyptic, Fallout, Mad Max style. And some planets genuinely thrived and stayed space-worthy. And a surprising amount of humans turned to, like, working with other aliens. And, like, aliens and forming those kind of societies.
Well, they were the neighbors. So
Yeah.
it's like,
Sure.
I can't contact, like, all of the rest of humanity, but these Eldar are giving us a hand with things.
Yeah, or these other, like, lesser known races are, you know, starting to help us out. Because this is before humanity was very when it's more xenophobic
I was
routes.
going to say xenophobic.
Yeah, so that hasn't turned up yet. Like, at this point, I would say humanity was more, I wouldn't say liberal, but a bit more open-minded.
Well, Terra wasn't, but the far reach.
Like, that's what I mean, like,
human
individual
planet-
individual contexts
Yeah.
and situations probably were.
Yeah.
And then some went on and degraded by following chaos, either intentionally or unintentionally. But a lot of humanity living on these planets died for many reasons, like...
But they're the
Smart
ones that
ones.
we like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
smart
yeah.
ones.
No, shut up.
Yeah, cultists. All right.
Please help me, Emperor.
We're infecting his Imperium episode with
Yeah,
as
I
much
know.
chaos as possible.
I will jump over here, over this table right now. And yeah, but
30
like,
seconds. 30 centimeters away from me. What did jump over the table?
well, it's like, you know, in that scene of Lion King 2.
Why, I oughta. Let me at him! Let me at him! Here, hold me back. Okay. Let me at him! Let me at him! Okay. I think you're missing the basic point here.
Yeah.
And yeah, but like these other planets like didn't even have enough resources to sustain themselves, or infighting, natural disasters, or just alien attacks. Like multitude of reasons, a lot failed, a lot thrived, also a lot went backwards. But you know,
So this is all before, like,
way before Emperor,
like
way before 30,
Before
no,
Primarchs.
yeah,
before the age
before all this. This
Yeah.
is this is how humanity got into the situation that
that it needed space marines. And
you
then-
needed that. Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha, okay.
Because and Earth and Mars were no different. They went full on Mad Max Savage Wasteland paradise, and humanity was kind of on the back foot until the best human alive, the big man himself,
The dead guy on the chair.
dead guy in the chair, revealed himself. Not in that way. I see I see you smirking at me, Corbin.
He might have done that way too.
No, he revealed himself because this whole time he's been alive, but he's been living in the Himalayan mountains, experimenting, preparing himself, getting ready so that way that he can be ready to lead humanity to where it should be as the rightful rulers of the galaxy.
Almost like a religion.
No, because he hated religion. He didn't want that. He
Just wanted to be everyone to follow everything he said.
because he
And
knew right.
do as he wanted.
Yeah.
And to live in fear, because if they didn't, he would punish them.
Yeah.
Like a religion.
Yeah.
Yeah, because,
So everything,
no, more like a monarchy.
or a cult.
We'll get into that a little bit more.
Some people are pretty religious about the Queen.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's fucked.
Was religious about the Queen.
They still treat her like a goddess.
I know.
So, but okay, so how old is the like? So I'm guessing if he's lasted a long time before Space Marines and all that sort of stuff, he was experimenting to be able to live longer, or was it just that humans were living longer anyway?
No,
He's been around since like shaman days.
he's
We're talking
been
like
around like arguably
almost like a god.
yeah, but he's arguably around now. Like you know that's
Oh,
the
yeah,
thing.
no, but I mean, like, so.
No.
So I thought that the reason why Space Marines live longer is because they like gave them extra organs and things like that. Like they
you
did
are.
experiments.
Yeah,
on
you're right.
them.
You're on the right path.
But this is all before that.
This is before that.
He was created
So-
with magic.
So
When-
Oh.
yeah, no. Well, we also don't know that, but that is the main. That is
That
the
is-
main. That is the main theory that I'm also subscribing to.
It is the main consensus because it's all
Yeah.
shrouded in mystery. But essentially,
one of the- yeah.
theory that they that is most supported is that like 12 mystic shamans.
They were all secretly psychers.
They were
psychers, yeah.
psychers, that, like shamans that existed way back. They were actually psychers, and they all worked together to create this master of
being.
man.
They gave,
yeah,
or
perfect
they
being.
gave their lives, and then they collided into this one entity. Then there's also an
And then he
idea.
did nothing for 20,000 years.
Because I think he was biding his time. But anyways, again, we're getting into theory
But this is
territory.
what I'm.
This is theory.
This is what I'm questioning. Is like, okay, so he was around before the Space Marines.
Yeah, that's
so he
confirmed. He's
must
been
be-
he's been around this whole
So
time.
he must have found the Fountain of Youth or like something. To
No,
have made
so-
him
He's
live.
made with magic, so he doesn't age.
So
Yeah,
essentially,
that's what it is.
this is the one part of Warhammer I don't really like. But there are these race of people called perpetuals. There are what basically they are is immortal. So Big E is what's known as a perpetual, and if you read any more of the Horus Heresy books, there's a group called the Cabal, which are perpetuals. They're basically like a group of people that are immortal and cannot die, like Lobo, a little bit. Like even if there's a one cell of this person, they're going to come back alive.
Okay, but
It's a stupid part of the lore that I don't like.
if the Emperor is
Mm-hmm.
immortal, why is he a skeleton on the throne.
Because we're going to get to that in the next couple of episodes.
Because Horus
Hold
did
your-
that to him.
Yeah.
So he's not immortal. He
Just doesn't age.
He can die. He's just.
It's
not.
possible, but it's like
Which is
nigh on
my,
impossible.
my argument why he's not a perpetual is because he can die like that, whereas Vulcan and that die, come back. They're perpetuals. He's just
But then again, we
magic
also
manifest in the form of a human, almost human kind
But
of thing.
I think he is a perpetual because because we haven't seen him die, and everything else apart from that is conjecture. Yeah.
But
So
I would but thinking like Deadpool.
Mhm.
Deadpool, if his head is cut off,
Mhm.
he will be smaller, but the rest of his body will grow eventually to the normal size.
Yeah.
Whereas if the Emperor is that, then why isn't he regenerating? Like, okay, if Horus killed him or really, really, really hurt him, then why isn't he slowly regenerating then?
we're going to get into that in the Siege of Terror episode. All your answers will be questioned, my dear boy. So
all your answers will be questioned. That's 40k. That's the Warhammer.
I know. But yeah, so
because there's
he's
more questions than answers in 40k.
Him and this group of people called the Perpetuals, they've been around for that time. They've been biding their time and waiting in the Himalayan mountains, experimenting, waiting for when humanity would need them most. He had created a legion of warriors known as the Thunder Warriors. We've talked about that before. And to help him take over the barbarian tribes of Earth and unite them all under one banner, with him being appointed as the Emperor of Mankind. This is known as the Unification Wars. So if I ever mention that, this is the period of time we're talking about.
It's when 25k, it's back that.
This is
far.
coming now into 30k. So we're now in 30k times, or Millennium 28 or 29 if I remember right. I could have the timeline wrong, but it is around this time period that we're talking about. But this is early days for everything.
Those kind of semantics don't really matter. It's basically that time.
Yeah.
So this is just a question for me with working out where timelines are.
Yeah.
Where is the Horus heresy?
30k.
That's 30.
So we're getting close.
Yeah.
So hold your horses.
All before Horus heresy.
This is all before.
It's
This is all
before
before.
they've even found
Yeah,
the
I'm going in
Primarchs.
chronological order for you,
Gotcha. Okay.
just to help everybody out as well. So he then created these Thunder Warriors to help him take over the Earth and then unite all of these. And it was in these early stages where, before he was about to go take over the galaxy and unite the lost colonies of humanity, that he decided he needed generals and proconsuls that would there to enact his will where he cannot, because at this point he can't be everywhere at once. So he ended up creating 20 sons, using his own genetic makeup as the foundation, ensuring that these sons would be like little versions of him, just not as powerful but pretty powerful and diverse in the terms of how they approach things, but the fact that they still answer to him.
So he wasn't trying to make clones of himself.
No.
He was trying to make so that each one would be a little bit different.
A little bit different, yeah. Each of these Primarchs are an aspect of the Emperor.
yeah.
For example, Conrad Kurz is his ability to dish out justice. Roberto Gilliman,
I thought it was his depression.
that
Did
too.
you just call him Rowboat Gilliman?
Yeah, Robo Gilliman. Yeah, go with it. Anyways, Rubute Gorilla Man exhibits his ability to govern, and Rogel Dawn represents his ability to defend and be a protector. Lehman Russ represents his savagery. Mortarion represents his ability to push through.
So even his
enjoy
bad
things.
side, he obviously wasn't.
Yeah, Fulgrim is his pride.
And Fulgrim's his pride, but also
Yeah.
his strive for perfection in all things.
But he wasn't obviously wanting say Mortarion to go and be chaos, but it was still
no. He
bad.
wanted
But he
all.
made them all with the chaos powers of the gods that
We're getting that into a section.
I was gonna say so. Even though they were bad I thought they might have been bad eggs.
No. We'll get into that in a second. So he created them to become aspects of himself, so that way, if he did pass on or anything like that, they could continue on and then maintain humanity's position in the galaxy.
World,
But the problem was he wasn't able to fully create them. So he turned and made an unknown bargain with the 4 Chaos Gods that would lend him the knowledge and power to create and embed these sons with similar abilities and strengths to him. And in return, he was either supposed to hand humanity over to the gods. He, of course, did not go through with that. Or he was meant to leave the warp alone and not challenge them. It was something like this. Now, the problem is... And I know you're about to talk because
I'm trying really hard not to.
No, because the biggest problem is that whilst I agree that probably is what happened, and in the Horus Heresy books, with the what,
It is detailed.
it's like 52 books or something like that.
Yeah.
Like I can't remember. It's something like that. And the problem is that we only ever see it argued from the demon side. You don't see anything argued from the Emperor's side, which you can't concede, which you have to concede to.
They use the warp powers to travel back in time to view these things happening.
How do we know that though? I went on Reddit and someone made a good point that
so
all we've no it's not that, it's just that demons have been known to lie and manipulate situations. I'm not saying that is what's happened, but the problem is that we also can't trust that.
Yes, but why would they lie to manipulate Horus when he was already fully corrupt? There's a book where he goes through in the warp, and he's traveling through the warp, and that takes him back in time. He's not being shown by demons. They're not trying to convince him. That's actually in a book. I haven't read the book yet, but I read the synopsis and everything.
Is that the one? Is that Wolfsbane? Where Lehman Russ?
It's when he's delayed going to Terra, right before the siege of Terra. Horus.
I think that is the one where Lehman Russ stabs him with a spear, and then and then he goes sees all the. And that's the thing is that a lot of this is up in the air. A lot of people don't agree. I personally do subscribe to what is shown in the books. Don't worry, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Where
his deal was that he would leave the warp alone.
he would either leave the warp alone or he would hand humanity over to the warp gods, because that's in the Lexicanum. But like again, it's a bit conjecture and a bit theory, but there's also people that don't believe what is written in the books because it's from the point of view of demons.
Yeah.
So
And there is an argument for both and for.
So I'm guessing that the reason why the Chaos Lords or whatever, Chaos Gods said this so that, because obviously the Imperium of Man or whatever, the Emperor of Man, was going to run on his turf in the warp.
Yeah,
And then they were like, okay, well, we'll help you as long as you stay off our turf.
Yeah.
And then he's like, okay.
Yeah, sure, Jan.
Okay, with fingers crossed behind his back.
Yeah.
Yes.
He got his sons.
Yes.
And then he's like,
broke the deal.
my
Well, I've
fingers
already
are
got-
crossed,
I've got this,
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And then that's why then the Chaos Lords then went, well, I'm
That
going to
is-
take half of your sons
Yeah.
and make them mine.
Yeah.
Essentially, yeah.
guessing.
Essentially, you're correct. But again, like, some people will argue the points and some people will argue the details, whereas I sort of agree with what the books are pushing. It may have gone differently in the Emperor's eyes, but again, we don't know.
Don't know.
Because I haven't read Master of Mankind, which is from the Emperor's point of view.
But it's not in that timeline.
But it's not that timeline. Yeah, exactly. So we don't know the full story. It's like when someone's like trash talking you and you're only hearing one side of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that's the annoying thing about the Emperor, is that there's
He does it too much secrecy. Yeah.
But there's also 3 sides to every story. There's one side, the other side, then the truth.
Yeah, exactly.
So like what
And of course, we believe the Chaos Gods.
we do,
Yeah.
he believes.
He believes the Chaos Gods. He admitted it just before.
No, I believe the events. I believe that events probably happened as the way they were told in First Heretic
and Fulgrim.
Is it Fulgrim? No, it's not Fulgrim.
No,
is it?
it's the First Heretic and
False Gods.
the False Gods.
False Gods.
Yeah, because they both tell the exact same story, shown
But
by
from
different
different
demons,
but different
and different
perceptions.
legions
Yeah.
seeing
Different.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean.
Which is actually, I found it really interesting in those books that the Emperor, when he created the Primarchs in that secret lab, he created a super powerful Gellerfield.
The most powerful Gellerfield generator of all time.
Yeah, to try to keep the eyes from the warp gods out, so they couldn't see that he was doing it.
Essentially, what a Gellerfield is that the Gellerfield is what protects a ship when it travels through the warp, so that way demons and other
See it.
and
It's like an
they can see
invisibility.
it, but they can't get into it.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought
It
was
like fully protects them.
Yeah.
Whereas if you travel the warp with no Gellerfield, you will
Get
die pretty quickly.
Depending on the demon.
Depending on the demon that wanted,
could be very, very
you
slowly.
could very slowly corrupt you. You know,
or it
that
could
kind of
be
shit.
very sexually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but not for you. Yeah. So that all aside, whatever theory people who are listening to subscribe to, whatever happened, the Chaos Gods
As long as
decided.
you subscribe to us.
As long as you subscribe to us, it's fine. But regardless of whatever you believe, Chaos then decided to yeet all the Primarchs across the stars to different humanity-inhabited planets, with some but not all of the Primarchs having a bit of the Chaos taint on them, like a bit of a mark. Because the gestation pods that the Primarchs were in were protected. were protected from the warp. They had like magical arcane runes or psycho runes around it to protect them, but some of them were
in the language of the demons.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
I know.
So it's almost like he did it almost on purpose. Well, it may not have been on purpose to him, but someone.
Yeah. So the argument is, when Horus went back to see the Emperor, he watched the moment that the Primarchs were sent away by the
Psychos.
Yeah, and
no, were sent away by the
when the Chaos Gods yeeted the Primarchs.
And what Horus saw was that the Emperor held up a hand, and it stopped the Primarchs from being sent. But he saw Horus come back in time and witness it, and saw everything that Horus was going to do, and just let it happen.
Yeah. Now, the argument is, on the Emperor's side, that he has foresight, and he can see a certain level of, like, portents in the future. And, again, this is where we're getting into theory territory, where is the future fixed, or is it malleable?
Yeah.
And Blake and I spent about 2 hours one evening talking about this very topic, so we're going to keep moving on, because otherwise
and considering the fact that that was the argument that made us want to start this podcast, is because we're just like, this is actually good. Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, the Emperor...
the Primarchs got yeeted.
So all the Primarchs got yeeted throughout the galaxy. The Emperor then decided it was time to go on this Great Crusade, title of the episode, to go unite all of humanity and all of its lost colonies, and also find his sons. Because all of the Primarchs are now in different parts of the galaxy,
And
scattered.
this is the Emperor trying to find them, like he's trying to get his sons back so that then he can train them to then take over his position.
Yeah, to put them in where they should have been years ago.
Yeah.
I want my boys! I want
Yeah.
my boys! Bring back my boys!
His first stop, though, was relatively close. It was Mars. Mars was very similar to Earth in terms of that they sort of went full Mad Max vibes, but a lot of the inhabitants went underground to avoid the sandstorms. And in so doing, they ended up being a very tech-based culture, and they started worshipping technology, and something they call the machine god. An entity that permeates itself in every piece of tech, from your computer to your car, your gun to your suit of armor, all the way up to giant mechs the size of skyscrapers. They worship this entity that is in all machines. And if this machine spirit is not sated or shown care or love, then it will not serve you and malfunction. That's what they believe. And the problem is that they might actually be onto something, because, it works.
Yeah,
Like-
they do seem to have some
So
sort of
Yeah.
souls.
Is this like AI? Or...
No, that's my idea, is that the Omnissiah is actually AI, but that's also heresy.
No,
And-
but the Emperor's called the Omnissiah by the tech priests.
Yeah, there's I'm getting into that in a second.
Okay.
So, Big E fucking hated this, because he rocked up to Mars and was like,
Ugh. Brother, ugh. What's that?
because he hated religion and thought religion was one of the worst things holding back humanity's progress, and that it
So
would.
he wanted to make the biggest religion.
No.
in the galaxy.
I'll push back against that. No, and I see you nodding your head, Corbin. Is that I don't think Big E ever actually intended to create a religion. Don't fucking get closer to me, Corbin. I see you.
I'm just smirking here. I'm not
I
saying
don't.
anything.
I genuinely don't think he wanted to, because he. I'll keep going. Is that because
Lorgar
he
disagrees.
no, because I know Lorgar would disagree. Is that Big E was firmly against it, because he also felt like that religion would also be an avenue in which the Chaos Gods could corrupt you. So that's why I'm a firm believer that he was always against it, and that he never wanted to make a religion about himself. But one of the things he did when he took over Earth was that he burned every church to the ground. There's actually a very good audio book called The Last Church, where he talks to the last priest, and it actually turns out the church was accidentally dedicated to the Emperor, and he's having this intellectual debate with the priest on religion and its place. It's actually a really good book. You should read it.
Have you read it?
No. No, I've
heard the actual opposite. I've heard that it's a drag to read.
No, I've listened to the first half of it, but I couldn't finish it because I was driving.
Yeah.
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 No,
you mean when we
no.
listen to all of our audiobooks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so, James.
I love when he says you should read it, and then have you read it? No.
I listened to the first half. Couldn't get through it.
Yeah.
That's
No, I
my
couldn't get through it.
favorite part is when he says that. It's a great read. You should listen to it. Have you read it? Nope.
just like
Does it taste good? No. Do you recommend it?
So, James, we're going to play another game of Guess That Grimdark. Now, Big E being confronted with these religious worshipping toaster zealots, does he slaughter all of Mars and make the planet in his image? Did he make a treaty with Mars and allow them to keep their religion? Or did he leave them alone and decided that he didn't want to deal with that and that it was a problem for future Big E?
Slaughtered them.
That does sound like the Big E thing to do.
But you're actually wrong.
Because he needs their machines and technology.
Exactly. He made a treaty with Mars and allowed them to keep their religion. On Mars, he was also on a time limit as well because he wanted to find the Primarchs as quickly as he could.
He didn't have time to.
He didn't have time,
stuff around
and
with them.
and the problem is
make his ships.
he also didn't have time to wage a war on Mars because Mars and his own forces would deplete each other of resources, and it'd be like a zero-sum game.
Yeah. So these people that are on Mars, who do they turn out to be like?
They become Adeptus Mechanicus.
I was gonna say they sound
Yeah.
very adept, like.
Admech, yeah. So yeah, and because Mars also had the ships and the factories to help him conduct the Great Crusade, he decided to make the Treaty of Mars where they would work together in the Imperium. It also helped that this cult on Mars thought that Emperor was their Jesus, because they believe in the Machine God, and they call the Machine God is the one that is spread throughout all the machinery and tech. But they believe that the Emperor is like the manifestation, like the prophet.
It's almost like the brains.
Almost like the Jesus, like the prophet.
Oh, right.
So like
yeah.
a manifestation
Muhammad.
of the Machine God.
Yeah.
So they call him the Omnissiah. So whenever you see Machine God or Tech Adep say, in the Omnissiah's name, they're talking about the Emperor.
The Emperor.
Yeah. And this is where you're going to learn something new, Corbin, is that's when the Imperial Quilla was created.
Oh, I did
So-
not know that.
And during the time of the Great Crusade before the Horus Heresy, the two-headed eagle was, because the typical two-headed eagle, was blindfolded on the right side while the left possessed eyes. The blind side of the symbol represented mankind looking to its past and the lessons of its histories and traditions, while the sighted eagle on the right looks to the future and the hope for a better life of humanity.
I had heard that bit.
Yeah. Oh, you had heard that bit?
Yeah.
Okay. I did see somewhere on one of the pages that parts of the Imperial Aquila represent the different parts of, the Adeptus Mechanicus, the Astropathicus, and the Adeptus Arbites, but I'm not sure how much that's correct.
Yeah, because one of them is holding like a lightning bolt, or they both are holding lightning bolts.
No, that's the Palatine Aquila.
It's Palatine Aquila.
Yeah, which is another thing we'll get into in the Fulgrim episode. So after the treaty signed and everything like that, or before he sets off on the big Great Crusade, he said the thing that he realized about the Thunder Warriors is that they were great at conquering, but not very good at anything else. And they were too much of a sword, focused on killing, instead of a hammer, which is good at destruction and construction. So, using the remaining gene samples he had left over from all of his 20 sons, he created the Space Marine Legions using their genetic material. So that's why all the Space Marines are like little mini versions of their Primarch, is because when you're implanted with the gene seed at an early age, it manifests itself. So that's why a lot of the Emperor's children, for example, end up having white hair like Fulgrim, for example, or displaying similar characteristics to their Primarch. And that's why they call them their fathers.
So,
And brother,
I may be wrong about this,
Go for it.
but I thought
You probably are.
that the Emperor had already killed the Iron Warriors before the Primarchs were made.
The Iron Warriors.
Not the Iron Warriors, sorry, the Men of Iron. Not the Men of the Thunder
You'll-
Warriors.
You'll get there.
I'll get there. Sorry, trip.
He may have.
Okay.
That part I'm unsure of, and
Okay.
and to be honest, I don't think it really matters.
No.
But that's why I was like, whatever.
Yeah.
So, but he obviously saw that. Okay, well, these guys are good, but they're too stabby. Let's try to make people that.
Let's make a
Better
military.
as rule.
It's like how the modern day military are not just good at being soldiers; they're also good at helping fix villages and help in construction. And being engineers. There's different aspects and specialities that they need to be better at. Whereas Thunder Warriors were just pure warriors.
Yeah. They were just made to kill.
Yeah, who were just made to kill, not to govern, not to protect.
There's some militaries that are still
I know. You know what I
And
mean.
the Space Marines
Not
are still
good
a bit
one.
like that too.
Yeah, but
Some of the
not
Space
good ones.
No,
Like-
but Worldeaters were. even more.
No, I'm
the
talking about
Loyalists.
I'm talking about modern day military.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but like even the Space Marines, the Worldeaters were still a bit like that. They were still a bit.
Yeah, which is
a
weird.
bit too killy.
Yeah, that's also not their fault because that's not what they were
The
intended
World
for
Eaters,
originally.
did you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Worldeaters. Yeah.
But aren't they chaos?
Yes, but
Yeah.
they were loyalists for a while.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So this is where the
okay.
timeline's getting into it.
Yeah.
So,
So all of the legions, all 20 were loyalists.
were
before
all
Horus
all the
Heresy.
sons started off as loyal, and all
And
the
then they
20 legions.
turned.
Yeah. So this is where the Horus Heresy comes into it. But before we get to that, this is where in the Great Crusade, where he goes to find his sons and
He's got to
give
find them.
and
find
they're
them
still
and then give
babies.
Yeah.
and at this point they're still babes. So the first couple of Space Marine legions that he had created and his own Custodes Guard, which are like, you know, the big golden boys, which are the ones that are meant to protect him.
I thought the babies grew up on the planet.
Nope. No, they grew
No.
up on their respective planets that they were
They
yeeted
all
on.
grew up on different planets.
That they were yeeted onto.
But then did they not turn? My assumption, like this is the way that my brain.
You thought they
worked
turned
it.
chaos before he
Well,
found
I
them.
thought that they like landed on a chaos planet.
Nope.
And then they just
Oh, some.
became what they were. Like
No.
say like the World Eaters. Oh, say
They
like
were
the Deathguard.
influenced by their worlds, but
Yeah.
they weren't
In
chaos
their
at
cultures.
that point.
Yeah, but they
fought
weren't
for
cha-
the Emperor for
yeah.
a couple of thousand years before they turned.
100,
Oh,
200
Couple
years.
hundred.
200.
I thought that it was like okay, so the
Well, how about I explain it for you?
Mortarion like got yeeted onto a Deathguard planet,
Mhm.
and then he grew up.
I
as a
can see
Deathguard.
where you've missed it.
Where you've thought
but
that, but
yeah.
this is where we're going to clear it up for you
Yeah,
and
Blake's
get rid of
gonna
those
clear it up.
misconceptions. Yeah. So yes, so the first couple of Space Marine legions that the Emperor had created, his own Gold Custodes Guard, the Golden Boys,
And
genocided.
girls.
Knew you would do that. Genocided the Thunder Warriors and completely wiped them out because they were
Custodes killed the Thunder Warriors.
Custodes, the first original Space Marine legions, mainly the first and
And the
second,
Emperor himself.
and the Emperor himself, genocided the Thunder Warriors because they were deemed as obsolete tools.
Yeah.
We're too stabby.
Yeah. Guess that grimdark.
He killed his first lot of sons because he had made a better lot of sons after.
Yeah, well, it was more or less. I think as well from what I've seen, I heard somewhere. I'm not going to verify this or say this can, but the Thunder Warriors started butchering civilians, and they started being like degenerative, if I remember right, or they were too good at killing, and to the point where they
got
weren't
bored.
good at peacetime.
Yeah.
Probably
Yeah.
got bored.
I could be wrong on that, but that's the only real reason why I could see that would become his next option.
I can't remember what book it's from, but two of the Primarchs talk together, and they're like, "Oh, but that's why he did away with."
I think Gilliman said that as well. That's why
he's like, "Oh, well, he did away with the Thunder Warriors because
they weren't good at anything else.
They weren't good at governors, and there was no longer a need for those weapons."
Yeah,
And
exactly.
So, which is why a lot of people thought that the Emperor was just going to abandon the
Yeah.
Space Marines too.
Because that's why Gilliman said to his sons, I'm gonna make sure that each and every single one of you can be a governor, and be like useful in peacetime as well." Because that is the end goal.
Kill you.
Because that is the end goal. Is that Emperor did want there to be a peacetime after the Great Crusade. He didn't want the galaxy to be constantly at war.
Yeah.
And even you can admit that.
Doesn't mean that
yes,
that's right.
Yeah.
but
No buts. You sit there in your wrongness, and you just sit there.
yeah, Angron was a really well-made governor.
It was meant to be. Wasn't his fault. Wasn't either of their faults, to be honest. Anyways, we'll get to Angron in a minute. Yes, so Big E took the Mars fleet and his new legions of Space Marines, along with a united Terran army of civilians and soldiers to back up and create the infrastructure of the Imperium of humanity.
Oh,
because
so you're going the official chronological order, and we're gonna leave
Yeah.
20th to 20th.
yeah, because
okay.
yeah.
Just I just was wondering where you were going with that because you're like he left Terra. All right, continue. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's all good. No, it's all good. It's just because may as well tell him what everybody else learns,
Yeah,
and,
true.
and then get into that.
Yeah, okay,
in their
all right,
episodes.
all right.
But yeah,
Is
that,
this like new stuff that has now become
No.
canon?
It's
sort of a little bit, not really.
I mean, it's an older book, but anyway, we'll continue on. It's just
Because
funny.
what we're gonna do is we're gonna tell you the story as it's told, and like the
And then
foundations
tell
of
you
it,
the truth.
and then tell you the minutiae and the nuances and all that kind of stuff, extra stuff.
AKA truth.
Yeah,
There's just one Primarch in particular. Actually, there's two Primarchs in particular that are kind of tricky.
yeah. But either way, so along with the Emperor,
Yeah, you can
So-
guess.
Is Angron one of them?
no.
He's not tricky.
Yeah,
Is
he's
it a
straight.
good guy or a bad guy?
Both.
Yeah, both. Yeah.
There's one that's good and one that's bad.
No.
Yes and no. Anyways, that doesn't matter. We're not going to get into that nuance.
No, but if anyone who actually listens to this who knows the lore
Yeah,
is
who
just
know
going
what
to
we're
be
talking about.
cackling at this,
Yeah.
this is quite funny.
Yeah.
I love that I know nothing about that.
Don't worry, you will.
I
You
will
will.
by the end of the
You will.
episode.
Yeah. Well, Bob probably by the end of his episode.
Well, I mean, we'll explain it a little bit at the end here.
A little bit, yeah. So, along with the Emperor and the Space Marines and the Mechanicus and the military, they also had people go along with them called Remembrances. What a Remembrancer is basically the liberal arts mages of this universe. They're basically poets, artists, photographers,
People that
journalists.
can't fight.
Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Because their job was to document everything they saw, capture the beauty of the Great Crusade, to be taken back to Terra and show off all the amazing deeds that were happening in the name of the Emperor, da-da-da-da.
Can I just ask a quick question? Is Terra Earth?
Terra is Earth, yeah,
Yes.
sorry.
Okay.
Sorry,
You
I should have
just-
made that clear.
You reference Earth and then you reference Terra, and I'm like, wait.
Because that's
okay.
what it was, and then
They
it sort of
changed.
became Terra when
Terra.
the Emperor, united humanity there. And it's called Terra in other mediums, so yeah, sorry if I didn't make that clear.
No. I thought that it was the same place, but then you referenced it twice, like two, and I was like, wait, are they the same thing or are they?
Yeah,
actually
Terra is Earth, yeah.
Terra. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what these remembrances were meant for. Remembrances are also very interesting in the Horus Heresy books because they're good at showing the human perspective, looking at Space Marines. So they're really good for like being a vessel for the reader. And yeah, I just personally think that they're a great literary device. But remembrances aren't really a thing anymore in 40k. They were mainly a thing during the Great Crusade and the Horus
Okay.
Heresy.
Are they
Just
all,
so
like-
you know.
Are they killed off, or is it just that they're not around as much because it's more
Both.
war?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah,
both.
because it was meant for the Great Crusade to like chronicle this major point in humanity's rise to power.
And then because they didn't, maybe it was like, we'll silence that now.
And they were also there to help spread the imperial truth. Now, what the imperial truth is basically what the Emperor created to try an ideology to try and unite humanity. It's like a respect for rational thinking, science, and secular progress to try and. It was an ideology the Emperor created to help dismantle any religious organizations that the Great Crusade would encounter on separate. Because, like, some savage worlds would
Almost
go.
like the Ten Commandments.
No, the opposite. The opposite, in fact. It's
Oh.
like it's.
Because I'm like, this is sounding very religious.
No, it's meant to be the exact opposite. It's meant to dismantle religion in favor of, rational thinking and focusing on how science can prove things. And that was also another way for the Emperor to try and dismantle religion because he didn't want chaos to have any avenues in. But
Don't follow religion. Only listen to what I say.
yeah. But that's the thing is that he also said follow, critical thinking. Use your thought instead of relying on religion.
But he also didn't want people thinking too critically because anybody who spoke about things that shouldn't exist, like
I know.
demons,
I
were
know.
just bang.
Yeah, I know. I'm aware. Okay, so I'm gonna go through these
I love
really.
that we both were like,
Yeah, nah.
Press X to out.
Exactly. But yeah, I'm going to go through these really quickly because each of these Primarchs will get their own episode, and there is no way I'm going to flesh them all out in this episode, but I'm going to give you like the cliff notes of who they are just so you know who they are.
I do feel bad that me and Corbin are ganging up on your little dead guy.
I
No, I'm fine. I'll take you both.
I don't feel bad.
Oh, you mean in a fight? Okay, never mind. But
That's
yeah,
very Zinch of you, or what's
Slaanesh.
Slaanesh of you?
you'll get there eventually. I believe in you.
I forget names.
These are our gods. How could you forget?
He's not a very good follower. He's a world eater.
I only know Abaddon. Abaddon is my only rule.
He's not
Abaddon
a
is my
god.
only god.
Yeah,
It's not a god.
He's not a god.
he's such a meme.
But yeah, so the first Primarch found was pretty early on, and that was Mr. Heresy himself, Horus. Horus was the first Primarch found. Nothing to do with the Horus Heresy, I swear. Horus was found on a barbarian planet known as... It's pronounced Sithonia, but I reckon it's Chthonia.
I think Chthonia.
I think that sounds better. But we'll get more into his story next episode. But essentially, during this time, the Emperor and Horus spent 30 years together, like campaigning and crusading with each other, and like
Horus was best boy.
best boy,
So it's
basically.
like his right hand man.
Oh,
He
yeah.
found him
Essentially, yeah,
first.
found him
Favorite
first,
son.
and they
Favorite son.
30 years alone together, and they just developed the closest bond. Like the Emperor and Horus had the closest bond out of him and all the other brothers. So, and in that time, they just developed a unique bond amongst his brothers. But then after 30 years, but we'll get more into that in the next episode. But after 30 years of spending crusading with themselves, becoming the bestest of buds, and they saved each other. Like saved each other in battles quite a lot against aliens like Eldar and Orcs.
Yeah, they were father and son. Like,
Yeah.
they were very,
Yeah. And that's why he's the favorite son. And then they came across a planet called Fenris, where they find Leman Russ, the Wolf King, Trailer Park Pagan himself, living with the hard folk and the giant wolves in the frozen tundra. So
Drinking Mjord and having a great time.
Yep, drinking Mjord, having a great time, and
being all Viking.
Yeah, so there's
being all
Horus,
Viking.
There's Leman Russ.
Yeah. This is the interesting part that is also under conjecture as well. The third Primarch found... the third Primarch found is one of the missing Primarchs that nobody knows anything about, number 2. We don't know what happened to him, but the biggest hints and clues point to the fact that Leman Russ was ordered to kill him for some unknown reason. Like, either he was Chaos corrupted by the time they got there.
Which I don't buy that.
I don't buy that either, yeah. But
others already were a little bit too.
He may have been like a tyrant, and then Leman Russ was forced, and wouldn't see reason, and Leman Russ was forced to put him down.
Or he rejected the Emperor's rule.
Or rejected the Emperor's rule, yeah.
Kill him.
It's a potential, but nobody knows.
Misfigured or like not.
It could be anything. We don't know.
No
idea.
The Emperor swore everyone to secrecy.
Number 2 and 11 of the Primarchs, for the meta reason, like we've already said, have been left because it's for the players to create their own legion, their own chaos, and their own loyalist. But it also doesn't make sense because of this is a story. Yeah. But now they've just put it down to they're the missing Primarchs, and they were forced to be killed and then just taken out of the equation. All information about them was destroyed.
Redacted.
So they didn't even
redacted.
get to the point of creating like an army for them because they were killed before that.
Oh well, yes, the Emperor had Space Marines.
Yeah, they had their Space Marine legions made, but
they were given to Gilliman.
There's also big hints as that they were given to Gilliman to look oversee or spread out through other remaining legions.
So he must have been the two, but they must have been so they weren't killed as like children.
No.
The
Emperor intended to find
Primarchs can grow to full size within 3 years because they're just that quick.
Okay, so they were fully grown people.
By the time they found him, yeah. So your guess or your fan theory is fine.
as good as
is as good as anybody else's at this point.
Because I thought, and I could be completely wrong, but I thought that the Primarchs were found, from what you've said.
Yeah.
Primarchs were found, and then they were almost like given their army to rule over.
Yep.
And then the Primarch either went chaosy, and then their army followed them to the chaos.
Yep.
Or
You're on the money right so far.
Good or whatever.
Yeah.
So the number 2, for instance, he was given an army to rule over.
Maybe we don't know.
We
don't know.
Then he was killed as the Primarch, and then the army then was given to Gilliman.
Your guess is as good as ours.
Yeah,
because
it could be anything. There's no hints to it. We do know for a fact that Leman Russ has killed one of them.
Yes.
That's much. Not sure if they killed both of them, but yeah. We do know that all the Primarchs were sworn to secrecy because the moment they try and talk about it to each other, like Lorgar's just like, it just reminds me of when we had to take out one of our other forgotten brothers, and the Magnus is just like, don't shoot!
Don't, unless you want to end up like them.
Unless you want to end up like them, don't. Yeah. We swore an oath.
But yeah, there's also a hint that one was killed by Russ, the other was never found. But then again, it's like,
I also doubt that too, though.
But do I just can't see the Chaos Primarchs caring about making a pact with their dad.
You gotta remember at this point they're not Chaos corrupted. They're just normal.
They're serving the Emperor.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about now. That they're corrupted.
Oh, now that they are, but I doubt they care enough to talk about it.
Okay, maybe. Okay.
It's been 10,000 years.
But it's also
that happened.
Also a plot hole, a meta reason. We just don't talk about it.
Yeah. GW
just like them. Yeah. And then the next
talk about 2 and 11.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the next Primarch was Ferris. The title of King Boring himself was found on Medusa.
Where is he?
He's number 10. Yeah.
Iron Hands.
Yeah, Iron Hands. It's not that he's boring. It's just that I don't think he's given proper limelight, and the fact that his sons are a bit more interesting than him.
And he was killed off like 10 books into the Horus Heresy. 5.
Yeah.
Wait, so not all the Primarchs are alive?
Not all the Primarchs are alive. Some are missing. Some are dead. Some
Yeah,
are.
because I know the
active.
was
But why
missing,
would you
but-
flesh out a story when they had already planned to like off him?
I know that's
Yeah,
the thing.
that's
but,
the thing. That's the
but
meta
that's
reason.
what we're going to get into the Horus
Yeah.
Heresy with his story. Then it was Fulgrim, the pretty purple trihards come from Chemos. Vulcan and his fire-wreathed cuddly bears were found on Nocturne. Dawn, the best Primarch, and his bumblebee boys were found on Inuit, a frozen, harsh world.
Yes.
Gilliman, the boring
Yeah,
but
no
not
bias there.
Yeah.
Gilliman, the boring but not so quite boring as Sir Ferris, was found on Space Rome of Macragge.
Fuck you for that.
Magnus the Nerd was found in the ruins of a post-apocalyptic
Wait, where is he?
Prospero. He's before
Oh,
Horus.
yeah, there we go. He's purple in that, but he's red.
Sanguinius, Angel Boy, Best Boy next to Horus, was found in the radiated wastelands of Baal's moon, known as Baal Secundi's nuts.
He's actually not best boy. He's a snobby piece of shit angel.
I know you don't like him, but he was up there with Horus.
He's an asshole.
Yeah, of course you'd say that. But yeah, you didn't even get my
He's also
Secundi's
big,
nuts.
Yeah, I did.
Shh, don't tell him. He doesn't know everything yet. Then Lion was
He deserves
found.
to be dead.
Shut up. The lion was found on the death world of Caliban, surrounded by horrible monsters with his Knights of the Round Table. Perty the Bitter was discovered on Olympia, aka Steampunk Greece.
Oh wait, no, that's Angron.
Perty's number 4.
No, yeah, it was. Yeah.
Mortarion the Nasty and his Warhammer players were found on the garbage pile of a planet called Barbaros.
Morty the Nasty.
Yeah, Morty the Nasty. It works well.
Son of a bitch.
Hey, that's my new lord.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, whatever. Lorgar the Prick and his choir boys, including fucking Erebus, was found on the desert planet of Colchis.
Where is he?
There he is, the crazy
The
one.
laughing one.
Yep. Khan Speed Freak Tokyo Drift McGee himself was found on the plains of Chagoris. Kerr's Angsty Depresso Martini himself was found on the sunless world of Nostramo.
Oh, sorry, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was pointing.
No,
No, that one.
that's Corvus. That's
yeah, I
Conrad.
was right the first
Yeah,
time.
you were right the first time.
The 8th Legion.
Trust your instincts.
Yeah.
Angron, who, fun fact, was the only Primarch to not conquer his home world, because he was found as a baby and immediately enslaved. Big E found him as a slave on the run and then taken by the Emperor by force.
He almost took over his planet.
Yeah, that's not...
If Emperor had given him a little bit more time.
He wouldn't have taken it out, but if the Emperor had helped him, then yes, he would have. That's not going to come back and bite the Emperor on the arse at all, of course.
No.
Then it was Korak's best stealthy boy, Nevermore, on my chamber door, was found on the planet of Deliverance.
You're killing me with this.
I know,
I
it's
like
good.
Korax, but
he's
the
my
fact
second.
that,
He's my second favorite Primarch.
but
Of course
the fact you're talking
third.
up only the ones that you like, and everyone else gets shitted on.
I just made a joke about Korax. Yeah. What was it?
Yes,
what was I meant to
Korax
say?
the greatest. Oh,
Yeah.
Nevermore, knocking on your door. That's not anything like. Oh yeah, almost as boring as Mr. Iron
Yeah, the
Hands.
Monty Python joke.
Charismatic.
Yeah. Cope, Seath, Malt. I don't care.
No, the Ultramarines are the greatest of them.
As if.
No, that's lore accurate. That's canon now.
No, it's canon now.
It's canon now.
Everything's canon. They're not the greatest. Therefore, that's canon.
No, it's come out.
Reverse.
Have you not seen the newest things?
No.
I showed you that meme. Oh no, I didn't show you that. I showed it to James. But yeah, there's actually a quote saying that the Ultramarines are the greatest.
Here's
of
the
them
thing. They probably are. Doesn't mean they're the best. It doesn't mean they're the best.
I thought Warhammer said that everything is canon.
all. That was false. Everything is also a lie. I am Alfarius.
It's like Assassin's Creed. Everything is true. Nothing's true. Everything's permitted.
Yeah.
And then number 11, another lost Primarch was found. We don't know what the fuck happened to them.
Yeah.
So
And
which one would have been Chaos and which one would have been?
and then I'll get the last one, and then lucky last, Alfarius and Omegon. Anyways,
Oh,
what was your question?
The twin Primarchs.
yeah. So which one would have been Chaos? Because you said one's
We're gonna get to that.
No, of the,
I
he
think-
means
I
of
think-
the two missing
of the
ones.
two missing.
We don't know.
Either or.
So it does. I suppose
Either
it doesn't
or
really
both.
matter,
Either
like-
or both. None. We don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So they could have been two Chaos.
They could have been
Literally
chaos,
no information.
or they may have not been chaos at all, and they could have just done
Been-
fucked up another way.
Yeah.
We don't know.
I mean, it makes sense that GW would make one Chaos, one Imperium. Or one.
Like, I get it from a game, like creating a game point standard, like, you know,
like a blank
for the player to slot it in. But the problem is that they then created a fleshed out story, and they couldn't leave. You just can't leave those obvious glaring gaps in there.
And they came up with a better option for it,
Yeah.
which is the successor chapters and like the war bands that split off from the Chaos Space
yeah.
Marines, so
Yeah.
that people could create their own legions that way.
And
They
that's
came up
fine.
with a better way. Yeah, they
Yeah.
came up with a better way to do it, and then they just completely forgot and were like,
Yeah,
no, whatever.
and I get that they still have the two lost Primarchs, but like you said, that is a better way of doing it.
Yeah.
So for the players to insert themselves into the game and create their own legions.
And this has been the case for however long Warhammer has been a thing.
Nope. Past 20 years or something like that, isn't it?
Oh well, the two missing Primarchs.
The two-
Yes.
Yeah, past 20 odd years.
So it's not like if they were gonna go, there's
2030,
there's a
something like that.
secret army that we've been like cooking up, you know, that we're gonna release.
Oh no,
would've
they
done-
did that, and then they retconned it.
With what?
Legion of the Damned.
Oh, right, yeah.
So they did make an army that would have been.
That was
no.
they suggested that the person leading it was the missing Primarch, and then they were
But then
like,
there's
no,
also but then there's also theories that they were part of another chapter foundling, and then there's also the ideas that they're actually the Iron Hands, and you know, yeah,
It's a lot of shenanigans.
It's a lot of shenanigans. They deserve their own episode.
Can I ask? Are
No.
all the books written by the same person?
No.
No.
Okay, so this is why there is so much like.
Well,
one
all
writer
the
will write it one way, and another writer will write it another way.
that is a source of problem for a lot of the characters, because some characters are written differently than they are in the other
Because
books.
coming from a
But
comic
the
book
overall
background,
story,
that's how
It's
it is
sort of
in
the same.
comics.
It's sort of the same thing. But the
Snyder
problem,
will write it one way, you know, whoever like.
but
Stan
it's
Lee
but
will
it's
write it.
also incredibly restrictive for these writers, because they also have to adhere to Games Workshop's, like, you know, you can't do this with this character, you can't kill this certain character off. It had yeah.
Games Workshop.
They sign off on everything. So like,
females being custodians.
yeah, who knows? I don't know. I'm
That
not
didn't
gonna
come
comment.
from a writer.
Yeah, that came directly from them.
That came from them because they put it into
They
the
put it in the
codex.
codex. Yeah.
I thought it came from Superman, but anyway.
Yeah, sure. But yeah,
Custodies came from
so
Superman.
all of these Primarchs were found over the course of 200 years, and in this time, the Primarchs genuinely bickered and formed relationships like brothers. Some became long trusted friendships through battles. Others are just based on mutual respect. Others out of a level of tolerance, and then some were purely fucking despised, just as brothers are, you know. And those sort of relationships helped some in the Horus heresy turn to chaos, and some stayed loyal. But there was also genuine
They're following their brother, like, oh my
they're
brother.
either following the brother or they're at odds with each other because they're.
Like,
You
well, you're
I expected
good,
better
and
of you, that kind of thing. Yeah, it's classic space opera.
Yeah.
But yeah, and an important thing to point out is that Horus and the Primarchs don't know anything about the Chaos Gods. They don't know anything about them because Big E kept that as a big secret.
Oh, so all the Primarchs don't know about.
Don't know about Chaos. Some discover like inklings of like powers in the warp, and especially Magnus, Horus, and Lorgar. Like they all sort of like realize that there are, you know, there is power within the warp to be manipulated, or there are entities within the warp, but they don't know the full picture that we do
But they're
in terms
part
of
actually.
they're part of the like bargain with the Chaos Gods, and that they're part of a greater plan, or they don't really know that much.
Magnus knew way more than everyone else.
Magnus
Most
knew-
others had no idea.
Perturabo knew the date of his date of his birth because he had like one of those like memories that perfect recall. But yeah, it's just that is another big reason as to why some of the Primarchs went chaos, is because they didn't know what they were stepping into. They weren't given the full information by Big E, and that's one of his, I will admit, one of his bigger failings, is because I think from his reasoning is that if he told them about the chaos powers, that, there's this other great power that I could talk to and that we could try and reason with. But if you don't know anything about it, it's like trying to keep your kid away from drugs without telling them anything about it. And then when they finally encounter it, they're like, this is a great thing. Why don't we use it? It's probably the best analogy I could think of.
But he was also going around being like, there's no religion, there are no gods, and then be like, hey, Primarchs, there actually are gods.
Yeah, it's tripping over his own hypocrisies, I will say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but that is also...
Big E?
Yeah,
Hypocrisy?
Big E, yeah. And this is the problem,
Mr.
is that,
Hypocrite himself.
and it's also hard for me to defend him as a character because Biggie's not really a character. He's a vessel for the story. In the terms of,
30K,
in the terms of, he's the one that, the progenitor of this problem where these other characters then, you know, sort out the drama, and that's where it comes from. So it's hard to, like, defend him when he's meant to be the problem, if you know what I mean. Or he's meant to have caused the problems like the Chaos Gods. Like, in that regard. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you're right in 40K, but I still see him as a character in 30K.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I get it, yeah.
Yeah, because he was such, like, an integral part. And yeah, obviously they had to come up with a story. He was alive. He was fighting.
That's what I mean. Like he was. So he's even though he's alive in 40K,
he had to make these decisions. Yeah,
but he's actually in 30K. He's actually
actively doing things.
Yeah, he's actively walking around and being a character. I get that, but the problem is that because of him and the Chaos Gods, they have to mess up because otherwise we wouldn't have anything to talk about. From a meta story writing standpoint.
Yeah, that's they wrote him as this hypocritical, flawed character
that tried to live up to these great expectations of giving humanity the mantle of galaxy rulers.
That's your opinion.
But that is no, but that is what he was going for.
Yeah. Yes.
Anyways, yeah. And honestly, I think that's probably a good point to leave, which is where we will love you and leave you for the next episode, where we will get into the Horus and his heresy.
So is this would this be where we're leading into?
Yeah.
What
so the Primarch.
What book would we be into now?
This will be, we're leaving humanity
this will be over
at its
50 books.
Yeah, this is about 50 odd books. So that's just the Horus heresy. But like, yeah. So at this point, humanity at the Imperium is at its strongest. It's like borderline, almost taking over the galaxy.
It has all the Primarchs still aligned with.
Fighting with the Emperor.
Yeah, fighting with the Emperor.
So
and
it's when they're at their strongest.
But the seeds of chaos and rebellion are starting to be seeded, and they're going to come to fruition later on.
Which we will learn about in the individual Primarchs thing.
And their journeys.
Too much in the Horus
in their
Heresy.
journeys. I'm going to be, in the next Horus Heresy episode, I'm going to be skipping a lot of context, just because the pure simple fact is that it's not relevant to the larger story. In the regards of...
and we will cover it in the individual...
The impacts, and where it's better to tell that through their individual stories.
And I'm guessing they're at the strongest at the moment because is there not as much... Like, it doesn't seem like they're having to fight against Xenos.
Exactly.
No, they only are fighting Xenos.
They're only fighting... Yeah,
There's no chaos that they're fighting.
No chaos, no nothing.
Oh, so
chaos...
They're killing humans that won't comply,
Eldar
that
are hiding. Orcs are probably the biggest threat.
Yeah.
Necrons are still asleep.
Yes.
So Votan are still there, hiding.
Yeah, there's lesser Xenos that they're fighting,
but
like the Harad and stuff.
Can't stand up to the Imperium.
But they're
really.
not like, because Tyranid seems to be a big...
Tyranids are not in. Not here
they're
yet.
Not into it, so it's just the Orcs, really.
Orcs, Eldar. Is there someone missing?
And
like lesser species that don't have an army.
Yeah. And also any humans that won't agree to follow the Emperor.
Yeah. Like rebellious humans.
But they're about to get
rebellious humans. Humans that want to continue living their own life on the planet that they've done for generations, and the Emperor's like, you will join my Imperium. And they're like, no, we have it pretty good here. And he's like, die!
Well, now you don't.
Yeah, now you don't. I'm burning your entire world.
Is there someone we're forgetting? Eldar, Orcs, other humans.
Tau.
Tau very recent.
Yeah.
No, I think that's it. That's all the threats.
Pretty much it.
Yeah. Gene Stealers came with Tyranids.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So,
no, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, but all the lesser
But
ones.
admittedly, Orcs and Eldar are problems.
So this is what we're going into the next episode.
Yeah.
Is starting with chaos.
It's starting to sow the seeds of doubt.
Are you going to take off where, like, the Emperor leaves them?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be... We're ending this episode with humanity at its height. Yeah. All of the remaining 18 sons are loyal to the Emperor in varying degrees.
Yeah.
They all have their own personal relationships with each other, but there's like about a couple of thousand expedition fleets that are, finding all these worlds and taking them over, and incorporating them into the Imperium. So yeah, this is humanity at its height.
Yeah.
And we're going to be leading into the next episode.
Cool.
At the end of the next episode, they'll be at their lowest.
Arguably.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
All right.
or nearabouts.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for listening.
Like and subscribe.
Leave a comment if you want.
All right. Stay tuned for our next episode.